Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli, amma ba'd. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good day to everyone. Right. Today, let's continue our class. Since we already finished on chapter 1, and today I'm going to give explanations on chapter 2, which is innate immunity. So we're going a little bit deeper on innate immunity or non-specific immunity. Okay, so this is the syllabus content, so objective that you have to know. The first one, roles of the innate immunity, components of the innate immunity, as well as innate immune response. So I'm not going to cover the whole slides by today, so that's why I'm going to divide chapter 2, part 1 and part 2. Okay, so innate immune response, right? The response that is available to us when we are born and is immediately available. So means that it's totally different from a specific or adaptive immune response, which is it has to be acquired from something. Okay, so innate immune response is like automatically available upon when you were born. Okay, when you are born, the immune response comes like a package, right? You lahir, then you will get innate immune response. It is very non-specific because this response can react against any infections of pathogens, right? So it cannot be selective, right? It cannot be selective and nor specifics. Okay, so that's why it can react against everything, all right? Any infections or any pathogen. Pathogens includes bacteria, viruses, or any small molecules from bacteria or virus that can trigger our immune response. Okay, it also known as the first lines of defense, where it consists of mechanicals or physicals, chemical and microbial barriers, which is I'm going to cover in today's lecture. And the second line defense is again infectious and involve very specific cells and molecules, antibody, okay, all the B cell and T cells is included in the second lines of defense. Okay, the first line defense, the barrier, okay, it have 7 barrier that I'm going to cover today. Right, the first one is skins, right? Skins. So basically, skins is the largest organ in the body, right? It's covered nearly like 20 square feet in adult skin, in adults. 20 square feet of the skins cover the whole body, right? That's why they call skin is the largest organ in humans, right? It helps regulate body temperature, permit sensations of touch, heat, and cold, and also is very important in the innate immune response. Okay, why? Because it gives the first defense. Right? It's how to say? It's restricts any pathogens or any foreign substance that can enter the human body. Okay, so it consists of 3 layers. All right, 3 layers. Wait for a while. Okay. Right, sorry guys for the interruptions. It consists of a 3 layers components composed of epidermis, dermis, and subcutaneous fatty tissue. Okay, and the most important part is epidermis in this in response, right, which is contains or packed with a dead and dying cell that contain keratin. So keratin is very tough protein that gives a strength, a flexibility, and semi-waterproof properties to the skins, right? And epidermis are continuously being sort of, okay, macam dead skin dia akan ganti baru, ganti, right? And epidermal layer have no access to blood or lymph. Intrusions of pathogen will be localized and not systematic. Yes, okay, because it's very far in outer layers of humans. Right? There is no access of blood or lymph, so that the intrusions of any pathogen should be localized. So certain part is not like systematic lah. Okay, and normal flora's microbes blocks the growth of other microbes. Okay, so normal, as I mentioned in our first class, right, and as I've mentioned in normal in our second class, if I'm mistaken. So normal flora microbe is a good microbes, all right, a very good microbes that how to say scattered around the skin, right? And good microbe ni dia give an extra protections, right, to our skins, and also helps in innate immune response. The skin synthesize and arrange protein with antimicrobial activity. For example, psoriasins, all right, possess antimicrobial activity against E. coli, right? So psoriasins is basically a protein peptide, right, that being synthesized by skins. Normally, if the skin have any wounds of lesions, all right, any lesions or any wounds on the skins, the skin will automatically synthesize a protein peptide called psoriasin. Okay, and it's also associated with a psoriatic patient, which an autoimmune disease, all right, but then it's non-contagious, and it raised by abnormal skin. So means that these psoriatic patients have problems with the skin. The skin is not like normal skin lah. Normally dia ada macam patches, colored red warna patches. Sometimes it's turned to green, purple, deep purple green patches. Okay, so these patches, this disease is not contagious lah. Okay, so we can find a very high expression of psoriasins in those patients lah. Kalau you ada luka pun, you ada lesions pun, you akan dapat psoriasin lah. Dia akan membunuh bakteria yang cuba invade our human body through that wound. Okay, especially E. coli. Right, then of course skin's is a bit salty, I can say, and acidic in pH, because it will inhibit also the bacterial growth. It will not give a suitable or a good environment for a bacteria other than normal flora to growth. Okay, sebum the oil secretions of sebaceous gland contain chemicals that are toxic to bacteria, and normally the skin is dry. And the temperature is lower than 37. Okay, these conditions sama juga macam salty and acidic pH tadi is not favorable to bacterial growth except of normal flora. Okay, hair follicles, sweat glands also produce lysozymes and toxic lipid, and beneath the skin surface is a skin associated lymphoid tissue, SOT. So kalau you teringat on the first lecture, we have SOT and we have MALT, MALT. right? Salt is skin-associated lymphoid tissue. MOP is mucous-associated lymphoid tissue. Both I already covered in chapter 1. Salts also have the same properties as MOPs. Okay, it's kill microbe and sampling antigen on the skin to start adaptive immune response against them. Okay, the difference is MOPs is always associated with mucous membrane or epithelial cells. Okay, but then salts is always associated with skins. Okay, location-wise is different lah in the both system. Right, the second barrier is mucous membrane. Okay, mucous membrane. So basically, what is a mucous membrane? Mucous membranes is that a lines of various cavities of the body and covers the surface of the internal organ, basically. Okay, so it's always associated with epithelial layer that secretes the mucus, right? So mucus lendir itulah. Okay, and line body cavities that open to the outside of environment. So basically, yang mucus ni always associate with cavities that exposed to the environment. So macam ni dia tunjuk dekat dalam kita punya respiratory tracts, right? So dalam respiratory tract tu dia kosong kan, bila kita sedut udara masuk dalam larynx and everything. It have a direct contact dengan outside environment, air from outside. So that's why it needs a mucus to help can you wait for a while? Okay, kat mana tadi? Mucus. So mucus yang tadi akan menghalang all the pathogens or any foreign substance from the outside untuk invade, give an exclusive accessibility lah. Okay, mucus ini akan menghalang. And it constantly slogging cell to remove microbes. So dia akan membuang lah, remove any microbes. Alright, residents, normal flora of the mucosa also inhibit potential harmful microbes. Okay, usually a family of firmicutes, alright, or known as actinomycetes or protobacteria. Actinomycete adalah bukan actinomycete. Actinobacteria, right? Actinomycete ni kat dalam tanah, actinobacteria ataupun protobacteria yang is considered as a normal flora. Okay, the stomach mucosa secretes hydrochloric acid (HCl) and protein digestive enzyme that could kill pathogens. Okay, if you realize kat dalam stomach you usually masa right when you craving something, lapar ke, perut kosong ke, akan rasa macam pedih-pedih sikit, keruk bunyi kan, right? So basically yang pedih-pedih itu is about secretions of HCl lah. Okay, mucus, alright? Mucus, it help defense against any intrusions through a mechanism called mucociliary escalator. Alright, what is mucociliary escalator? So muco ni inilah mucus lah. Ciliary ni ciliate lah. Alright, escalator ni escalator macam tangga dekat mall semua kan. That one is escalator. Alright, the general definitions of mucociliary escalator is a self-clearing mechanisms of the airways in the respiratory system, right? It's always associated with respiratory system. So means that macam how to call it? Macam you bersin, right? Betul-betul cakap, puk, terbersin. Ataupun tengah you inhale, tiba-tiba itu batuk. Okay? So apa orang kata tu, the tindak rangsangan tindak balas dalam keadaan tidak sengaja. So that one we call it mucociliary escalator. Salah satu not symptom, salah satu cara, salah satu daripada I cannot find the word. Salah satu defense lah. Salah satu physical defense dalam mucociliary escalator. And the other one is through goblet cells. Alright, goblet cells. So goblet cell ni, why we call goblet cell? Because the cells is actually bentuk macam goblets, macam glass lah, goblet glass. Alright. So it mainly located at lower respiratory tract and helps to produce mucus which trap any microorganism that have entered the tracts. Okay, so macam you sedut udara tadi, macam udara tu ada bacteria, so all the microorganism will be trapped in the mucus produced from the goblet cell. Alright, the ciliated cell move the mucus up before it's swollen or expectorate. So means that goblet cell ni akan bunuh all the microorganism yang berjaya invade through the tract system. Alright, coat the stomach's wall to protect it against the acidic fluid needs for digestion. Right, sama juga macam tadi lah. Okay, the number third is lacrimal apparatus. Alright, lacrimal apparatus ni contains a few or a series of I can say a small organ lah, small organ. Okay, so lacrimal apparatus is a group of organ concerned with the productions and rains of tears. Right, basically involved in productions of tears. For example, dalam lacrimal apparatus ini, it have lacrimal sacs, the lacrimal glands, excretory ducts of lacrimal gland, lacrimal punctum, nasolacrimal duct, and lacrimal canal. So all of these we call it lacrimal apparatus. So dalam tears juga, alright, dalam tears ni yang you rasa sometimes tears ni masin kan, kalau you orang yang menangis, right? Kalau kita rasa tears tu actually masin. So tears are produced in the lacrimal glands and constantly flush any foreign particle into nasal cavity. So for example, kalau you tiba-tiba menangis kan, macam kita masuk habuk kan, ada yang keluar air mata kan, so that one's symptom untuk dia buang all the foreign particle lah. Okay, berbeza dengan you menangis sebab sedih ataupun menangis sebab sakit. That one is triggered by a different way. Okay, in tears actually it's contain three three things. Right, the first one is lysozyme, which is lysozyme ni enzyme lah, enzyme that destroy peptidoglycan of the bacterial cell wall. Right, it's very a strong enzyme. Okay, peptidoglycan ni kan dia tebal kan, right? So it's easily can be destroyed by lysozyme. And second one is lipocalin, inhibit the pathogen by binding the ions. Right, binding of ions will give a deep explanations after this lah. I akan beritahu you tentang how bacteria or pathogen the growth of bacteria and pathogen can be suppressed by binding of the ion. Okay, and IgA and antibody lah to prevent microbial attachment and neutralize toxin. Right, the fourth one is saliva. Right, saliva. Saliva is ayak liur, produced by salivary glands, and it functions to clean the teeth and mucous membrane of the mouth and prepare for the food's digestions. Okay, ni orang kata tu dia punya main function lah. Okay, so Kalau I think kalau tak gosok gigi pun tak apa kot, sebab for those yang banyak air liur, so air liur tu akan bantu untuk bersihkan gigi dia. And it washes microbes down the esophagus into the stomach. And as in tears, saliva also contain lysozyme, AGA, and histatin. Alright, histatin ni adalah a small peptide that has antifungal activity and has role in wound repair. Okay, so kalau you luka-luka, right, the small luka, you bolehlah bubuh air liur you, right? I'm not sure. There is no, evidence yang kita boleh rawat guna saliva. But then, there is no harm to try. So, kalau dia luka sikit-sikit, you then you gosok lah. InsyaAllah boleh baik kot. Okay. Boleh. Sekejap, ada pointer tak? Pointer options. Laser pointer. Right. Okay, next barrier is epiglottis. Alright, epiglottis. So epiglottis is a flap of tissue at the back of the throat. Okay, epiglottis ni dia macam bentuk shapes of leaf. Okay, so the functions of the epiglottis ni is to prevent liquids of fruits and saliva from entering the lower respiratory tracts. Okay, so kalau you tengok kat gambar ni, right? So this is epiglottis, right? So ni esophagus, and this is trachea. So trachea ni, okay, kalau you tengok kat sini, there is a two ways lah. Alright, two channel. The first one is trachea channel, and second one is esophagus channels. So epiglottis ni is help prevent entrance of foods through trachea, right? So Allah ni maha bijaksana. Okay, so dia buatkan dalam satu tengkuk ni ada dua saluran, dan saluran yang berbeza. Satu saluran trachea untuk udara, satu saluran esophagus untuk foods and drinks, tapi masuk dalam tempat yang sama. So bila you makan, epiglottis ni akan play vital functions. Okay, so kalau you makan, makanan you takkan masuk lah. Pada tercekik, you minum air ataupun minum makan, we direct it kat dalam lungs you. Tak. So sebab apa? Sebab kita ada epiglottis. And there is a disease associated with epiglottis ni. Okay, so it's very a vital disease yang kalau kena tu, you have to go to hospital and find the immediate cure lah. Kalau tidak, susah kita nak makan and bernafas at the same time. Okay, number 6 is urines and vaginal secretions. Alright, urines and vaginal secretions. Okay, urines characteristics is acidity. Okay, so that's why it can inhibit most microbial growth in the UTI, urinary tracts. Not UTI. UTI is urinary tract infections. This is urinary tract sahaja. Okay, so by flushing activity of this body fluid keep microbe from attaching to the tissues. Okay, so if we keep urine, right, so there is a flow to dump all the waste product, so it gives no chance for the microbe to attach to the tissue. Okay, so kalau you simpan air kencing you tahan, so that's why ada apa ni, infection lah. So kalau you pernah dengar, kalau ada gallbladder infections, alright, ataupun kidney infections, is always associated, sometimes it's always associated with orang yang tahan kencing. Okay, urine also contains lysozyme, right? Sama juga macam tears dengan saliva tadi. And vaginal secretions and lactic acid produced by resident bacteria help make the vagina more acidic, thus help prevent colonization by potentially pathogenic bacteria. Okay, so for a female, vaginal conditions is always acidic. Alright, always in acidic. Sebab apa? Sebab it contains a resident bacteria or normal bacteria, normal flora bacteria, which is mainly is lactobacilli. So lactobacilli ini helps to keep the vaginal healthy by producing lactic acids or hydrogen peroxides untuk kill all the pathogenic bacteria. However, as a low pH condition allow fungal organism to grow. Yeast infection are most common in women than in the men. Okay, so kalau the pH is very low, right? So it allow a yeast infections, alright, yeast infection macam keputihan and what not. So disebabkan oleh infection caused by yeast. Okay, so please beware. Right, the last barriers is transferrins, alright, transferrins. So what is transferrins? Transferrins is a glycoprotein found normally in vertebrate lah. So dalam vertebrate saja ada transferrins. Okay, apa function of transferrins ni? Right? So the transferrins mediate a transportation of basically what we call it ion, right? Ion ferrums through blood plasma. Okay, so transferrin ni function dia untuk mengangkut transport ion lah, ion. So you have a high affinity towards ion. Jumpa ion dia akan bind, dia akan bawa. Jumpa ion dia akan bind, dia akan bawa. Okay, so transferrin this is associated with immune systems and found in mucosa or top of mucus, usually found in mucus. So what did transferrin do? So they impede or suppress a bacteria survival in the process called ion withholding, right? So ion withholding means that dia memegang ion dia tadi. Okay, as you know, bacteria or pathogens need ion to form their metabolism, right? Some enzymes or crucial enzyme or toxic enzyme in bacteria, they need ion to be activated. Okay, so transferrin ni dia will give, how to say, will helps in creating environment with a low free ion. So jumpa je free ion, dia tak akan bagi chance ke bakteria, dia akan pegang ion tu dan akan transport it. Okay, so that's why there is always low concentrations of free ions in our body. Okay. Alright. So next, let's go to the PRR, which is pattern recognition receptor. Alright, PRR. So PRR basically it can distinguish between non-self and self substance. So how this PPR perform their activity? So basically it identifies molecules associated with a foreign substance and enable immune cells to differentiate between self and non-self. Okay, so basically dia boleh recognize any foreign substance, alright, yang dihasilkan daripada non-self part, which is pathogen ke bacteria ke whatsoever lah. So and then the best thing is it can distinguish between self. So kalau substance tu been produced by the cell itself, so it can recognize and it will identify as non-threat lah, non-threat. But then kalau ada molecule that been produced by pathogen, that akan recognize and it can recognize and treat it as a threat. Okay, and they are mainly expressed by the antigen presenting cells or known as APC. So APC ni Di APC ni ada dua tau. Lagi satu APC is anaphase promoting cell, anaphase promoting cell cycle ataupun anaphase promoting cell. So anaphase promoting cell ni basically is a ubiquitin ligase lah kat dalam cell cycle. Itu akan ubiquitin ligase ni will be activate during mitosis. Tapi APC ni is antigen presenting cell. Jangan get confused. Okay. Antigen presenting cell ni includes macrophage ataupun dendritic cell. B cell also can be known as APC. Okay, they are also found in other immune and non-immune cell, include macrophage, dendritic cells, and B cell. Okay, so PPR recognition receptor ni kalau letak sini, okay, yang kat luar ni adalah receptor lah. So dia boleh kenal lipopeptide, dia boleh kenal flagellin, dia boleh kenal peptidoglycans. All of these are from pathogen. Okay, it's very important to have recognitions before it can trigger any innate or specific immune response. Okay, so this is the pattern recognition receptor. Can be divided into several groups. Okay, which is I'm not tends to elaborate more sebabnya kat dalam syllabus hanya ada ni saja. So you don't have to care about you don't have to care. You can read it on your own lah about each characteristics of each types. Okay, but today I will only touch about toll-like receptor TLR later on. Okay, so ada TLR, ada NLR nucleotide like response, ada CLR lectin response, ada ring 1 like receptor. Okay. Wait Okay. Alright, the receptor present at the cell surface lah to recognize extracellular pathogen, example bacteria or fungi or any molecule that may produce from the bacteria or fungi or any proteins. In the endosomes, it's also located at endosome where the sense intracellular invade, example of virus. So macam virus ni dia boleh invade kat dalam sel kan. So the PPR also present in endosome. So endosome, dalam ni endosome, right? So this is TLR, toll-like receptor. This is also toll-like receptor. Okay. So CLR ni is a C-type lectin receptor. Okay, CLR. Okay, it's also present in endocytoplasm. So macam NLR, NR, LR also present in the cytoplasm. So PRR recognize particular overall molecule pattern of the pathogen that are generally absent from the host. So sebab tu kita pakai the term is foreign substance. So foreign substance ni, so any substance that not produced by the cell itself. Faham Okay. Okay, next is pathogen associated molecular patterns, PAMP. Okay, so PAMP are found on pathogens okay, for example, this is the host, alright, the host, right, and this is PRR, right, pattern recognition receptor, macam TLR lah, contoh TLR. So TLR will recognize PAMP, alright, pathogen associated molecular pattern. So kat luar ni dia ada macam macam kita lah, kita ada IC, alright, IC untuk clarifykan kita sebagai a person lah. Alright, pathogen pun dia ada IC dia sendiri. Okay, so IC tadi ini is contribute by pattern associated molecular yang dekat luar ni lah. Okay, so each pathogen have different molecular pattern. Alright. Okay, so this is characteristics of PAMP, right? PAMP. Usually it have unique microbial structure, patterns of motif that are not shared with other hosts. So as I mentioned just now lah. So setiap bacteria have a difference or unique patterns. So that's why it can been recognized specifically. Okay, macam kita ICI dengan ICU totally different. It includes combinations of sugar, certain proteins, particularly lipid-bearing molecules, and some nucleic acid motifs. So this is the components of PAMP. The molecules are shared by a group of related microbes. So related microbe, kalau microbe yang sama, species yang sama, then the molecule is the same lah. Okay, rapidly the molecule organism in addition, unique molecule display on stress, injured, infected or transformed human cell also acts as PAMP. Okay, so unique molecule ni tak semestinya ada dekat bakteria. Alright, sometimes it will display stress, injured, infected or transformed human cells. Okay, so this is example of toll-like receptor. Alright, toll-like receptor. So ada dalam TLR ada 1 until 10. Okay, so TLR ni pattern associated molecule pattern yang they recognize is the TLR1 for example is lipoprotein. TLR2 they recognize bacterial lipoprotein. TLR3 they recognize double strand RNA. TLR4 they recognize lipopolysaccharide, some variant protein and so on and so forth. Faham Okay, guys, I think I stop until cytokinesis. Right, cytokines, and I hope if you have any questions regards on this first chapter up until cytokines, you can always feel free to WhatsApp me lah directly. Okay, then I will try my best to answer all the questions yang you tanya. Okay, class. Right, until then we meet in the second class. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.